What up, Elev8 family, and welcome to another Elev8. Aw, man. Tonight we got Alderson glass. Oh my goodness, you need to check him out. His stuff is fire. The line work, out of control cool. Quick, I want to mention, I need your help. Ladies, we got this really cool brand ambassador program called Elev8 Dolls. Check it out. You get to earn some money. More importantly, you get to put smiles on other people's faces, other ladies' faces. You can do men too. It's all a beautiful program. Anyways, let's get where we need to go to, and let's welcome Alderson Glass, because this is going to be awesome. So we're really excited to have Alderson Glass here, and thanks a lot for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, so my first question, how did you get started blowing glass?
It's a pretty common story. I think I've heard a few people with a similar deal. I met like this dready hippie at a music festival, and I started talking to him and kind of hanging out, and I liked the vibe, and just sort of watching him work, and I thought it was really cool, and I hung around enough and just kind of wanted, asking questions and wanted to hang out, and so he offered to teach me a little bit and let me get some time on the torch, and then
was this at the festival, or you made the connection?
I met him, and then I ended up actually renting a room in his house, and so he had, I was like just out of high school, I was 18 and had, just needed somewhere to stay, and so I had just a roommate, so I was always around and got to try it a little bit, and then got hooked on it and just never stopped.
Yeah, and so I guess when was that? When did you start, and how long have you been?
That would have been 2012. So I'm coming on 9 years now, I guess.
Wow,
so,
man.
Yeah, so just started it up. He had a little GTT Lynx torch and oxygen concentrator, and he sold me those actually because he didn't use them anymore, and then I worked on that little setup for years.
Wow.
Having the oxygen concentrator just made it cheap and easy to keep on rolling without a big gas bill, and in the beginning you're breaking a lot of stuff, and
yeah we just actually moved to oxygen concentrators after 16 years. So
yeah, they're great. I mean, when you switch to that, it's like why would you buy like bottled water, if you can drink water at home?
But people still do it. It blows me away.
I still do it. It's it's just you got to have the space for it. It has to be,
yes.
You have to keep it and maintain it. Otherwise it can all break down pretty easy too.
Yeah, they like to say it's free oxygen, but it's you had to make the big investment, plus you do have to keep maintaining. So
yeah, and if those concentrators get dusted, and you're toast too, so you have to be careful with all that stuff. And
yeah, not too many people started on concentrators, and so that's really neat.
Well, and it's a cool concentrator too. It was by this company called OGSI, and they make everything from the smallest model, which I have, which is their OG20, and it's a 20 liter per minute oxygen concentrator, and it does, it's made for that kind of application. Jewelers use them, glass blowers, a lot of people that just want about a 15 psi, 12 to 15 psi at like 20 liters if you have it cranking up pretty well, and that runs a Lynx like almost full blast, so you can do basically anything you want to do just with that one concentrator. So that makes it really convenient to just run off that. A lot of I use that for jewelry stuff too now, and so it's really handy.
Wow, yeah, and a Lynx is a great little torch, man. They're great.
Yeah, I mean, I think you can make anything just about that you want to make for, your first few years on the Lynx, and a lot of people move faster to making bigger things, but I think there's a lot to be said for just taking the time and doing it, Well,
slowly. And that's a real nice transition. Your work is really clean, really nice.
Thank you.
So for sure. What did you do to really start out with and get there? Because you mentioned taking it slow and going. So you didn't just jump into that.
Well, I guess I say take it slow, but I'm a notorious person of actually just diving into things, and like I learned by just failing and making mistakes and and not having any sort of plan B, attached to it. And I sort of just like drifted around after high school, I guess, and like never really fit in anywhere. Didn't I'd always kind of worked on my family's ranch as a kid and here in Montana, and just been a ranch kid. And then they didn't really have a job for me because it's just they've got all the help, except for a few times when they need extra riders or this and that, but they couldn't really hire me. So, and the only other job I could get was at Burger King. I went all around town and tried to get jobs here and there, and I was just a dirty little kid, and they didn't want, I was kind of just a loser. And so, but I knew that I actually went to high school with like the manager at the Burger King, and so she was like, yeah, well, we'll hire you, and you can start next week, and here's your smock and your your little hat. And I was like, do I have to wear that little fucking hat? And she's like, yeah, you have to, every minute that you're here, you have to wear the hat. And the hat was what really was the final straw with the Burger King job. So
Yeah.
it's a long story. I just and then I kind of found glass blowing, and I decided that was what I was gonna do, and I just leaned on it. And at the point where I started making like the Filicellos and the patterns and stuff, I just decided, you know what, this is what I'm gonna do full time. And I, trimmed a little bit of weed on the side here and there to make some money, and that was the only other thing that I did in the beginning for income. I just said, you know what, I'm gonna have to make it work. And I saw these, artists like Adam Reitz and John Williams and Eugene, and had done these Filicellos, and I just like would stare at their work for hours, and it's just I became so obsessed with it. I said I have to do that, and I was making like really not like didn't have Sir Jewelry. Do you know who he is? Chris Sir. Well, he's just a really amazing creative jeweler, and he said before he found jewelry, he was an artist with no art, and that leads to addiction and depression and dysfunction and all sorts of. And so I was an artist with no art in my youth, needing an outlet for this like energy I had. And then I focused on the Filicellos, and the beauty of it and the symmetry and the technicality, the challenge of producing that to me was like so enchanting that I just couldn't get away from it in my head. And everyone, everyone told me get a real job like 1,000 times, my mom and my girlfriend and my friends. And I was like, no, look at these, like this Filicello thing. And they're like, what is that? And I was like, I'm going to make that. And they're like, what? Like you're making like, they told me later, they didn't want to hurt my feelings at the time, but they're like, I was looking at the stuff you're making now, and I was like, dude, that doesn't look anything like that at all. Like, I don't think you could do that. No one thought I could do it, but I never really gave up on it. And I've been able to, haven't been able to get that Burger King job yet. So, I mean,
I don't think you need it, man. I think
if I can stay out of there, I'll be okay,
Yeah, that's awesome, man.
Nothing wrong with fast food though. I eat burgers all the time, but I can't, for me, I wasn't able to do it. So
no, and they're not meant to be a career, but they are meant to show you what hustle is. Cause in a fast food, you get some hustle there. I mean, I started in Wendy's, so
yeah. Love Wendy's. I mean, and I honestly, like, I wouldn't have hired me when I was a kid. I was a little shit, and
same here.
Would have. So, I mean, it is what it is. I had to find something to where I could go at my own pace, and
and find out what you didn't like, because had for some reason you liked it, like you wouldn't be here in glass. So,
I don't know. I sort of think somehow like the glass would have always found me at some point, because I've just run into so many characters, and it's just cool. Like I just went out, invited to Berkeley to teach a class at Revere Glass, and just got back from that. That was awesome. I mean, the people that I've been able to meet through this is just the coolest thing to me. So I hope that I would have found it, and done and been able to live this life. It's fun,
Yeah, the adventure is, I think, Well, that's life and adventure, and in this industry is definitely cool. And then when you get to be a glass artist, I mean, I you're an artist, so you get to play with glass, and it's beautiful.
Yeah, it takes the whole culture though to support it. Like it's not it takes people being into it. It takes, people wanting to uh like your name is the Elevate shop. I feel like that it's my purpose is only to elevate the experience of smoking and using our medicine. So I'm just a little part of someone's day and try to make it a little more beautiful. That's all. That's what I get to do. So if that can be my corner, I'm happy here. So
Hell yeah, hell yeah. Where do you get the inspiration for the creativity in your glass? Some of it really looks southwesterny a little bit, but then some of it's, I don't know.
I love, here in Montana, growing up on the ranch, there's lots of Western art always around, and like my great great uncle who built one of the cabins that's still on our little family homestead he was a silent movie actor, and he painted these southwestern paintings of the desert. He loved Mexico and Arizona and New Mexico and California, and he traveled to, and so I always grew up seeing these paintings, and then the beadwork too from the Cheyenne, Northern Cheyenne, the Crow, Sioux, all these tribes that are around locally to where, there are neighbors right there where the ranch is. And so there's always lots of, that Native American artwork and around the ranch, and just old things that my grandparents had, and those patterns, Pendleton blankets. I love that stuff. I love anything, anything I see that has just colors,
And it seems to work really well with the Filicello, the two things, like it was meant to go together.
Yeah, I have actually just my new series of jewelry that I'm going to try to do this year. Started doing a little bit of silver working and setting gemstones and things, but I really like belt buckles. I have an uncle who makes bits and spurs and belt buckles and that kind of Western stuff. So I'm going to make some Filicello belt buckles with, steel backing and silver bezels and stuff on them. So that'll be fun. I want to make things that I want to own, or that I
Right.
think is cool. That's all I do. So I just hope people like it.
Hell yeah. Yeah. That's good. Cause I mean, half the battle in life is trying to find something you like. And I mean, you're making what you want to make, and, fans are finding you, and,
Yeah, it's cool. It's hard though. It's not for everybody. I think like I was too stubborn in some ways to just follow rules in some way. Like I never did well in school or like a work environment where there's a lot of rules. I think just or any rules at all for that matter just wasn't. I didn't I didn't fit in. I couldn't settle down. I had this angst, and I just was too wild, and so being out in the ranch when they need my help riding horses and chasing cows around, that I can do that, and I can do things, but uh there's things about obviously just choosing to make things for a living, and you just never know when you're going to get paid. There's no one to tell you when to take a day off or when to sleep in or when you get to rest, or it's always on you that you have to be creative or you have to be that. And so a lot of people, I think are motivated just by the stress of needing to make it. Like that pushed me super hard in the beginning. I had bills, I had,
mhm.
just to support myself and my dog and make sure that I'm keeping up and, sustaining my life. And that's just a lot to decide to do all of a sudden when you're 20 years old and
Yeah.
selling things on the internet. So I just went all in on it, and started posting stuff and just kept, you know,
Yeah, they say no pressure, no diamonds, and that's kind of where you put yourself in there. It seems like right out of school, you kind of quit your job, you got a torch, and you just have to make it work. So that pressure probably had you on the torch constantly, refining, pushing.
Yeah, I would wake up. I mean, I'd be out there at 5 in the morning because I couldn't sleep. I had just the stress I would get, if I didn't get a migraine or like to where I was like throwing up and stuff because I was so stressed about how I was going to pay the bills. And, in the beginning, you're breaking so many things and
Yeah.
the failure rate is so high and you don't have like this established set of products that you've shown. You have no reputation, you have no contacts, you have nothing, and you're just, all you have is this.
You got your inner drive there.
Yeah, you just have to be stubborn and keep going.
And believe in you, because you put it there. The breakage of learning is just so much, and at any point you can say, "This isn't for me. I'll go get that job. It's easy money." And
yeah.
So I'm happy you didn't do it, because and I think all your fans are really happy too.
Well, I don't know. That's still weird. It still feels weird to me that people even like what I make enough to spend money on it. I don't even, I can't. It doesn't, doesn't make sense almost in some ways. It doesn't feel like it's real, or like it almost feels like at any day it could just go away because it's such a dream, honestly, that I get to do it. So.
And that's really cool. And I think that's also kind of what makes it special, because you're right, it can go away.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Like small little accidents, like we got little eyeballs, and they're so soft and shit. Like if those
little fingers, little hands. Yeah, I hurt gotta see my big knuckle on this finger. I hurt it in jiu-jitsu, and I was like, oh, that could have been really bad for my career, but we can't live in fear either. It's gotta you just keep going, because things happen that are out of our control all the time. But
absolutely,
to make it to be the things I can do, I think, to ensure that there is longevity in this art form and this little community and this fun vibe we've all got going on, where we smoke weed and sell bongs, and we just like, we're not hurting anybody. Nobody fucks with us really. Like the cops don't fucking really care. And like things are getting legal. Montana just went, recreational with the cannabis this year. And I want to support the community as a whole. That's, why I wanted to go, and Dustin asked me to teach. And I struggled with, literal just blood, sweat, and tears to learn this Filicello stuff. And I watched like Yushin did a demo and kind of like did one on a YouTube video years ago. And I picked up some stuff from that. And then, but other than that, I just tried to essentially like copy people's work. And it's obviously frowned upon to just straight up copy people's work, but that's what I did. I just saw people's patterns and I was like, how the fuck are they doing this? I had to figure it out. And the only way to do it is to try to reproduce it. And then once you finally are able to reproduce it, then you have your gas bill, right? So then you end up selling pieces that are copies of other people's work. And that was how I got started in the beginning. I try to not do that now, but I think admitting that as an artist is important, because they say like artists are thieves, and they are, because I stole it. I saw it, I wanted it, I took it, and it's mine now. No one takes it from me. I can even innovate now into creating things that are actually new and different. But I want to teach people too. I went to teach Dustin with Dustin, not to teach him, but to teach people through his platform, because sharing knowledge, I think the more people that are artists, and especially in our country, and supporting American people who are working and making a living, and everyone in this country who makes something is getting undercut by China and all this shit all the time, so.
But they are, but who undercuts them is us, right? Because China's underdoing it, but when we go to the store and vote with our dollars, that's on the American people. I'm sick and tired of the shit where we're blaming China and you're blaming corporations, because I vote with my money. And anytime you go to the store and you make the decision, fuck you when you come back and bitch, And I'm sorry, I get really animated.
I agree though. And so I think that's why, like, to support people who are making things in this country, because they're our neighbors and our friends, and so I'm willing to
They're
teach them.
people.
Yeah, and even people who are overseas who are making things, I don't think they shouldn't be able to make a living, obviously, but even people here that I can help to say something that I learned through struggle, I can then explain it to them easily so they can do it, and then maybe just help them on their pathway, without having to struggle so much to make a living, because I'm not going to live forever. My knowledge isn't anything special. I just want to support the whole scene, so we can all make it.
Right.
Shops, galleries, other glass blowers, all of us.
Yep. Hell yeah. Um, what are your favorite items to blow? I mean, that's a typical question. I got to think it's jewelry, and but maybe not. Let you answer that question.
My favorite items, that changes. I think I get excited about different things as they come up. Like uh, as a gallery owner, business owner, you got to see that where the trends are going and what people are wanting. And I try to make, like, a lot of times my favorite thing is just whatever cool new thing there is to try to do that people want. Like people started making recently the threaded jars with that fit the
Yeah.
baller jar lids. And so I was like, oh, that's a cool challenge. And I asked some friends about like tips for making those, and just people were nice enough to share some information with me, and I was able to do that. And I love, that's probably my newest favorite thing to make, just because they're so technical, and I like that they, fit together and seal up, and it's like a usable thing.
So do you like? I've never made those. I'm kind of unfamiliar with the jars. Do you use a mold for that, like, or are
So,
you putting the ridges in there by hand?
so what you do is, you have your standard U-line 1 ounce jar, and you just get your jar with your lid that you want it to fit, and then with calipers you measure the circumference of the top of the jar where the lid attaches to it has that little lip,
Mm-hmm.
and then the thread is raised up above that lip, and so you just basically look at it, copy what the thread looks like, and you lay a little stringer around it and add material just right to the edge of that top of your jar, and build the thread on there, and that's what and then try to make it fit.
Right. All
So
right.
yeah, and then you measure it, just keep measuring it with your calipers as you go along, so it doesn't get too wide. But yeah, it was definitely challenging, but it's surprisingly actually easier than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah. I always just imagined there was some kind of mold because, like, if I make a joint, I got a hand mold.
Yeah,
So I
and I
assume
think
maybe there was something.
there
But
are threading tools like that actually like kind of carve into it, but I guess that's just more complicated than it really needs to be. So
yeah, that's neat, man. Thanks for sharing that. How you make that? Um, what is your favorite color to work with?
um, my favorite color, ooh, probably Royal Jelly by Molten Aura. That's their new, some of their new stuff they've been doing is really nice.
Yeah,
It's expensive, but it's really nice.
yeah. That royal jelly. Every time I see it, it's
Yeah.
just how it thins out and gets thick, and the like multiple colors, and it's just beautiful.
Yeah. I mean, it's there. I wish I could get some of it. Their stuff's always been sold out recently, but it's really nice. Really nice product. I've never gotten a pound of color from them that was bubbly or had stones in it. Like, their quality control really is top notch, and it's good. It's good glass. So the
Yeah,
customers want it. So it's if that's what people want.
you got to
I
give
like
it
it.
to them.
I like it because it's a beautiful, the royal jelly in particular, that beautiful purple, and I've always loved that color. And then also everything I make with that color sells right away too. So that's it.
Yeah, yeah. So if you know that's your favorite color, is there a color you absolutely are like, nah, I'm not touching it?
Yeah, I don't use Chinese color at all. And just because that's not true. I will use it sometimes, but just like in my fillas and stuff, I try to use the black from China for my lines and stuff, and for some reason the stability of it is,
Their black sucks.
yeah, the black is bad. A lot of the other colors are fine, but I got so burned by that black in like my first months of blowing glass, I just got pissed at all of it. So I
One
don't use
color,
much China color, but
one color that I think China absolutely destroys is their. I think ABR carries it, and it's called Secret White. It's like this
oh,
clear, rough shit,
yeah, yeah.
but it is the
Seen that.
brightest, cleanest white there is.
Yeah, that white's really nice. Their jade tubing and their purple tubing is actually really beautiful too. It's like CFL color changing tubing that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're catching on to something right now. So
And I will say that their color tubing is so like it's so perfect, and it's like the clear tubing that the American companies pull. And so I don't know what they're doing, but there's no stones in it or bubbles or anything. It's like perfect color. They do a lot of things right. It's not so much that I don't the quality of it, but I think that colors, like, when you make, if I spend all this time on a pattern of a piece and then it adds more value to it to use a color that I can get from, say, North Star or Glass Alchemy, just because of the visibility on the market that those colors have, where people already have collections of like Mediterranean or Royal Jelly or something specific, that and China color, while the quality of the color might be fine, it just kind of has a bad like reputation on the scene, and so people are going to be, I think, less likely to buy a high dollar piece if you make it with that color. So I'll just kind of stay away from it. So
yeah, yeah. I was giggle on that stuff just because most of the clear glass I'm using is German made glass, and it's
yeah.
definitely not American. So
No, well, I don't think it's because of it being Chinese. I think it's just because of it having a reputation of being like breaking more often or something. Maybe because of like the black has been known to do that or
and I know
whatever it be.
their purples and pinks. They're really checky too. So like
Yeah,
they
and
can look good, but they're like,
I think everyone in the beginning there for a while was using the Chinese cobalt tubing, and that stuff is great. I mean, you can make anything with it, but everyone made everything with it for a while. So you're a glass blower too, then? Have you? I'm gathering from
16 years. Yeah, yeah,
cool,
self-taught.
cool. Yeah, you'll have to. Do you have an Instagram and all that too?
Yeah, yeah. After this, I'll be emailing you up so we can
Yeah,
connect
yeah,
more. And
great. Love
yeah,
to love to check out your work, man. That's awesome.
I'm
Um,
all over the place, man.
yeah.
I don't have anything I'm good at. So
Hey, I mean, it's sometimes I think that just being free to make what you want is looks like so much fun too. I'm sometimes like confined just to these like things that, I've everyone expects me to make now. So I have those demands for this on my time where I don't just make like go a different direction. So I'm jealous of people that do that too. I love it all. I love it.
hell yeah, hell yeah. Um, what is the most amount of time you've ever spent in a piece?
The longest amount of time I probably spent on a piece. That's I think that's kind of a little bit hard to answer because in the beginning, right, a piece with say 5 pattern sections probably would take me a week or 2 weeks, right? And just because it took me like a whole day to make one, Filicello section, so I might have spent a long time on something to produce it in the beginning, which later wouldn't take me nearly as long. And so I can get way more work done now in the same amount of time versus, 4 or 5 years ago when I couldn't have even done what I can do now, and it would have taken me fucking ages. So I would say probably the most amount of like effort and focus and work and time I've probably put into a piece was one I did last year that had 20 filacello sections all just stacked together. It's about a foot
Holy.
tall. And I, yeah, I just kind of got that number in my head, and I said, I want to do a piece that's made just all out of filacello sections, and 20 of them all stacked together, and just because I'm a little competitive, and that was like more than I'd seen anybody else do, so I wanted to just like to push the numbers of how much you can actually, how many dots can you put in one piece, and I think I did more than anybody has done. So I don't compete in that way, like to say it's anything better, but it just was a challenge I put on myself to do. So I'm proud of
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. And that's awesome, man. Just finding your own personal challenges and
Yeah.
and trying to get them. So
Yeah, it was fun. I thought, I wanted to blast it. I don't even remember how long it took because I just zoned in on it and kind of kept going until it was done. So I think it was like somewhere between a week and 2 weeks, but I just had my head down and I was just working, so I don't even know.
how'd you feel towards the end when you were, having those 20 pieces that now it's like, oh my God, and I'm doing this. Like,
I was scared because it like there's shit, you know how it is. Nothing ever goes exactly like
right.
every once in a while you get a piece where everything goes perfect and you're just like, wow, okay, I guess, I guess we didn't have any trouble with that, but something can go squirrely. So I had like a little fucking shit can go off the rails. And so, I was all sweaty and like, like nervous, but I took a class from, Robert Mickelson, Ram, and he said, if you're not making things that make you sweaty and agitated, then you're not trying hard enough. So I was like, that's how you know that you're pushing it, is when you're like, oh, I gotta like really fucking try not to mess this up, because you have that big thing on the line, and so it's really like it's exhilarating to push it like that.
Yeah. And then the next day when you get to pull out of the kiln, like true Christmas, right?
Yeah, it's like those early day jitters where you're excited to go in there and open that thing up. You're like, oh, I made a cool thing, like you don't get that excitement as much as the years go by. It takes something else to get you, to where you want to take it out of there before it's even cold.
Yeah. That's really cool to hear, man. Have you ever competed in any events before?
Yeah, I did at the Pacific Circle Gallery in Bend, Oregon. I sent in a light fixture. They had a light fixture contest for their grand opening, and the grand prize was 5,000 cash. And I didn't win, but and they'd have like an online vote, for likes. I didn't actually finish the piece completely. I sort of like I had a vision for it, and I just burned out on time and everything. So I think that was one aspect of competing that I hadn't gotten used to, is there being, a time limit, and you've got to send it in. And a lot of times if you're just making things, you don't have a deadline like that. So it was cool though. And it was a great piece. I just didn't put as much time into it as I could have. And everything else everyone made was really cool. And it was fun. And all those light fixtures are up there now. They've got decorated their whole place. So
Wow.
if you ever go in there, you see it right by the door is my light fixture. I did like these flat plates, and I drew mountain sceneries on them. And then how if you fume really heavy, you get little white speckles.
Mm-hmm.
So I fumed really heavy behind the black kind of silhouette of mountains and pine trees that I drew, so it looked like stars kind of speckling.
Yep.
And then put black behind that, so it had like black with a little bit of hazy blue with those white stars. And then I did those panels all the way around, and then so the light would shine through it and kind of give this glowing behind the mountains and the stars and stuff. So I had a big concept, and I had a lot of fun making it. So it was cool.
Yeah, and you're up there still now, so that's really awesome, man.
Yeah.
Do you consume yourself
Consume.
cannabis?
Oh yeah. Oh hell yeah. All the time. It's just been something that's been there for me since I was like 12 years old, and just I don't know. It's kind of been my friend, I guess. I think it's sort of something that you can always. I love the being in Colorado. You can go out and
Mm-hmm.
go for a hike in the mountains with your dog or whatever, and sit under a tree and just have a bowl and be
It's
with
special.
special, man. Yeah, and that the little bit of weed like always just brings you right there into that moment, and it's the perfect thing for it. So it's always been with me.
Are you a flower guy or a concentrate guy now?
I'll try whatever you got. I'm just I like
Cannabis.
yeah, flavor, good quality though. I
Yep.
have I have asthma, so I don't actually like smoke as much as I used to when I didn't care, but I'm more worried about taking care of the lungs. So anything that
Mm-hmm.
smells funny, looks wrong, or doesn't taste good, I'm not like gonna. People are like, won't waste any little bit of end of a bowl or anything. I'm not like that. I'll throw your shit away if it's not right. So
Hell yeah, yeah. It's all about quality. So
it's yeah, it's supposed to be medicine, and my lungs aren't the best either. But so I think that if I'm gonna be willing to take that risk of breathing shit into
mm-hmm.
my lungs, it's got to at least be I know where it comes from and what's been used on it, because the people put all sorts of nasty shit in weed and pesticides, and you never know, mold. And
Yep, absolutely.
I've noticed you just got to be even more careful these days because the market's gotten so full of everyone's product that you know
Yep, for
can
sure.
get.
Do you still find the same love and passion today as when you first started?
For glass blowing, yeah, I mean it's always different. It's kind of like, I think, like a relationship and having like a partner or a girlfriend or wife or whatever. You sort of like, it's different in the beginning than it is years later. Things are better about it and things change.
Mm-hmm.
You maybe aren't as excited all the time, but you also aren't as fucking panicked and angry and sad and don't know how, not knowing how to run the the relationship. So I think it's kind of, I have your relationship with your art and how you manage the ups and downs is always improving. So I think I love it more all the time because things are slow or things are breaking, and now I know that just keep in the shop, keep making stuff, you know what to do, it'll always turn around. It's like, I like to play poker. I'm not a big gambler, but I love playing cards, and you always, if you sit there long enough, the odds will come around, and you have to be ready when they do, or you'll miss your chance. And so you
Yep.
know I just, you figure out
And you
how to
got to
ride
play
it
the
out.
game. You
Yeah,
got to play the game, or you can't win.
you have to put, yep, you have to put chips on the table. And like, I spent the last, I just had a spell where I broke this piece I was trying to make. I broke it every day. I broke it for a whole week, for 7 straight days. I made it 5 times in a row, broke it every single time. And it's like, if you're down on the poker table and you have to double up then like a
Yep.
few times in a row to get back. And so I was like, oh, do I just like tuck my tail between my legs and go and like make spoons or something? Well, you can't do that. So I just kept, try one more time and buy in again, buy more color, put it out there, and then I got a win. So you just
Hell
gotta
yeah.
keep playing till you get a good hand, and then so that's it.
It's the life adventure.
Yeah.
Well, I think, Sam, Alderson Glass, please, everybody check out Alderson Glass, follow him, support him. It's amazing work. Is there anything else you'd like to add? Anything that you got up and coming that you want to tell us about?
No, I don't have anything on the horizon this year. I'm just gonna be, posting things on Instagram, Alderson_Glass. That's me, and that's where I'm at. So I'll see you guys for the rest of the year, and excited to see always what everyone's doing. So yeah, it's been nice to meet you, Steve, and thank you for having me on. And
It's a pure pleasure, Sam.
Same.
Geez, man, your work is great. This was a great time, and it was awesome. All right, y'all, that was amazing hanging out with Alderson Glass. Like, wow, super cool ranch hand turned glass blower, like crazy story. And the guy's art is amazing. That was cool. I want to throw this out there really quickly. I need your help. We got this really cool brand ambassador program called Elev8 Dolls, ELEV8 Dolls. And it's for any woman living a higher state of mind, body, spirit. Check it out at elev8dolls.com. You can earn some money and you can put some smiles on some other ladies' faces. All right, well, peace out, y'all. If you like what you see, subscribe to this, please. Tell your friends and elevate mind, body, spirit.